This is page 57 in our notes, and this is standard EE7. EE7, you're writing inequalities and graphing on a number line. So there's two parts to this standard. Inequalities and graphing on a number line. So sometimes they'll have you write the inequality, and then sometimes they'll ask you to graph it on a number line or match a graph that's on a number line to the inequality. So the first thing, we'll give the example, P is going to be greater than or equal to 9. So if you just think about that, that means P could equal 9 or it could be greater than 9. So how does that work on a graph? I'm going to use this blue line right here to graph. Number line is continuous both directions, so I put an arrow on each side. I'm only going to put a tick in the middle. That's going to be the number that they give me, and then a tick on each side. That's plenty for the number line. So I've got 8, 9, and 10, because if I put 9 in the middle, that kind of makes sense. One's less, one's greater than that. So how do I graph this inequality on this number line? I'm going to change colors here. Because it could be greater than or equal to 9, first off, we put a circle on the 9. If it's just greater than 9, I leave the circle open. Since it's equal to 9, I can shade it in, so it could equal 9. That means it could equal 9. If it could be greater than 9, then that means it could go this direction. Now I'm going to make this line a little thicker so you can kind of see it a little bit on each here. And it's going to go on forever this way. In other words, it could equal 9, it could be 10, it could be 11, it could be 12, it could be 13. It goes on forever, so I show the arrow. If you notice, this arrow points the same way that the inequality does. So the other part of this, besides graphing this inequality on the number line, we had to have it shaded in because it could equal it, is to write what are the first three, they're going to call them integer solutions. And if you remember, we talked about integers on another test. Integers are whole numbers and their opposite. So there's going to have 3 blanks here. In other words, what could the first 3 answers be if P is greater than or equal to 9? So the first answer would be 9. And then the next integer, remember integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So you're not going to put like 9.5 because that's not an integer. Integer are whole numbers. So 9, 10, 11 would be the first 3 integers. Let's try another example. Draw a line here on this one. What if I say B is less than 3? And it's important that you remember how to read these signs. We're going to trace on this blue line. Remember, we only needed about this long. For this, we're just going to put 3 ticks here. The one in the middle is the number they give me, so I'm going to put 3. So if this is a number line, then 2 would be on this side and 4 would be on this side. So how do I graph this inequality? B is less than 3. So first off, we put the circle on the 3. It's right on the number line. We're not drawing arrows up above. We're going to trace the number line left or right. Well, less than 3, all the numbers that are less than 3 would be this direction. Make this kind of wider so you can see it coming this way with an arrow on it. So what are the first 3 integer solutions for this one? And put 3 blanks here and let you fill those in. Now it's less than 3, so it's an open circle, meaning it can't be 3. So the next integer you're going to find is 2, and if I keep going after 2, I would meet 1, and then I would get to 0. Let's try another example. I'm going to draw a line here. This one's kind of tricky. It says 5 is less than x, but x is less than or equal to 8. So see how x is kind of in the middle? That means like it's greater than 5 but less than 8. It's kind of in between them. And it's not just less than 8. It could also equal 8. So how do I draw that on a number line? This number line is just a little bit longer. So I have to make sure I have 5 and then 6, 7, 8. So that'd be 4 ticks on the number line. 5, 6, 7, 8. Try to make them evenly spaced. 5, 6, 7, 8. So how would I make x kind of in the middle of those two? If you read this, 5 is less than x, but if I read it backwards, x is greater than 5. So greater than 5 is an open circle because it doesn't equal to it, so it's not shaded in. So it's starting to go this way. It's greater than 5, but as we also know, the other part of this inequality is that x is less than or equal to 8. So if I put a circle on 8, less than or equals headed this direction, so they kind of meet here in the middle, making this a little wider than it really needs to be, but just so you can see now this one needs to be shaded in because it could equal 8. This asks for what are the 3 integer solutions, and there are 3. What are the 3 integer solutions? Remember, it's not equal to 5. That's open, so the next integer could be 6, and then 7, and then 8. Draw a line here. Move this up a little bit. Okay, so the next one says, that was always giving you the inequality and having you graph it. Now they want you to write the solution for, and then they're going to give you this inequality. It says x minus 3 is less than 7. They want you to, on a number line, that's what they're wanting you to do. So you see x minus 3 is less than 7. So when we were solving equations, we always draw the line down the equal sign. This is an inequality. What do you mean by solve? Well, you see how there's x minus 3 on this side, and then there's a 7 on this side. We need to get x by itself. So kind of like with solving equations, you draw the line down the equal sign. We're going to draw it down the inequality. How do I get x by itself? How do I get rid of a minus 3? Remember what we did before? We did the opposite inverse and we added 3. So minus 3 plus 3 cancels out, but whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And so that way you get x by itself, which is what you wanted, x by itself. And then instead of equal to, you have the less than sign. And what's 7 plus 3? You have 10. So here is your inequality. X is less than 10. So how do I graph that on a number line? We're going to use this blue line right here and trace it. Remember, I don't need your number line super big or anything. We can just have 3 ticks on it. Try to evenly space. X is less than 10, so let's put 10, the tick in the middle, and then let's go 1 this way and 1 this way from it. So you'd have 9 on the left and 11 on the right. So how do I graph this over here? We're going to put a circle on the 10 because it could be less than 10. Do I shade it in? No, it's not equal to 10, and then less than goes this direction. What are numbers less than 10? Like 9 and 8 and 7. So kind of make it a little thicker so you can see it. Notice I'm tracing on the number line. I don't have like a up here in the air, and we're not going to do that. Let's draw a line here. All right, move it up a little bit. Okay, so another one says, write the inequality. Write the inequality that represents and it's going to be the number line. So I'm going to abbreviate that number line below. I'm going to have one of those below. You need to use the variable x. Use the variable x. So this time we're going to give you a number line that's already here. It's going to be right here on this blue line. Trace this blue line. It's going to have 3 ticks on it. We've got 10, 11, and 12. So they're going to give you a number line, and there's going to be an inequality already graphed on it. There is a closed circle on the 11, so we know it could equal 11 just looking at a closed circle, and then it points this direction here with an arrow going this way. So there it is. They've given you the inequality. Now they want you to write it. So before, they were always giving you the written one up here, and we had to graph them. up here. So now it's like backwards. They gave us the graph. What's our inequality? Well, it says use the variable x. So if we write x, how do we write this inequality? We have x, and then it is, how do we read this? It could equal 11. It could be less than 11. So we say less than or equal to 11, and that's all you have to do. You have to match the inequality with the number line. Sometimes they give this one and you graph it. Sometimes they give you the graph and you have to choose the inequality. Another thing in our notes, I'm going to put a star here, actually 2 stars. I'm going to write it on this line, x less than 18 has blank solutions because it goes on forever, period. So x is less than 18 has blank solutions. We call the word infinite solutions. In other words, it's going to go on forever. It's 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and it goes on all the way through the negatives as well. So we call that infinite. Infinite meaning you could have obviously more than one solution. The next part I want to get into, draw a line here, is kind of like a story problem where you have to write the inequality. So the story problem is going to say something like this. Marcy puts more than 8 starburst in each bowl. Write an inequality, and they're going to give you these signs for your inequality. You have the greater than sign, you have the less than sign, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to represent the number of starburst in each bowl. Give you a chance to write that. So it's like they're telling us to write an inequality. So we've got this. We need to write an inequality. And an inequality, remember, we're using these signs over here to represent the number of starbursts in each bowl. So the first little clue, I'm going to put a star or 2 here. You always need to write the variable first. And we talked about this before in another lesson when we're writing inequalities. So if they don't tell us any variable, we can just pick x, okay? And then if we're writing an inequality, we have to use one of these signs, which means they have to give us a clue of what we're going to do. Well, we know she's going to put more than 8 starbursts in each bowl. So I know 8 starburst is my number. Now I just have to figure out which inequality x is what compared to 8 starbursts. She puts more than. More than is kind of like my clue. More than 8. So that doesn't mean it could equal 8. So it's none of these that have the equal sign. It's got to be one of these. Which one means more than? We use the greater than sign. X is greater than 8 starburst. So it's an inequality. You're writing it. If they don't tell you which variable to use, you can just pick x or one that you like. You have your number, and then you just have to find your clue to figure out which inequality to write.